And Disney decided to hire the most insufferable girl boss narcissist that exists on Earth, who hates Snow White.
It has proven to be Disney's worst investment ever in the history of Disney investments. I mean, they've gone through various scandals with this girl.
If I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what?
Smart.
Pay her a couple $1,000,000, go away. We're going to bring another person to play this role.
But because she has this underlying anger and hatred in her that always has to take it like one step too far.
You know, other movie companies are going to look at her and they're going to say box office poison. And a lot of this is due to her behavior leading up to the film's release.
They're leaning in.
Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified
Yeah.
of some kind of backlash. I mean, you see with Disney now. I mean, Disney, one of the most gay-friendly companies.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
I'm honored.
Rachel Zegler's journey from rising star to a figure of controversy took yet another surreal turn once Disney's troubled Snow White adaptation had finally opened to public, as new rumors circulated that she was begging for money in the aftermath of the film's disastrous reception.
It's wrong and backwards, and it's not 1937, whatever. That was like her initial spree, and everyone was like, okay, do you want to be Snow White, or do you hate Snow White? Do you want to destroy Snow White?
The swirling drama that had begun with hints of on-set disputes and tension between Zegler and her co-star Gal Gadot appeared to intensify after release, with some insiders claiming Rachel Zegler found herself scrambling to secure financial support for upcoming projects. What was initially a hopeful fairy tale remake designed to bring a fresh viewpoint to the classic ended in a storm of heightened arguments, canceled appearances, and debilitating backlash.
Trump wins, and Rachel decides to go on really just a psychopathic, demented rant.
As word spread of Zegler's alleged financial desperation, industry experts wonder how a production that once inspired so much optimism could have collapsed so rapidly. From the moment Rachel Zegler was announced in the lead, there was a tangible wave of excitement among fans and insiders alike. Following her earlier breakthroughs, she represented a rising talent, someone who could honor a historically significant Disney property while bringing a modern sensibility.
Please?
For which movie?
Gal Gadot, already celebrated for playing powerful female characters, was thought to be an excellent complement on screen. But as filming progressed, subtle indications of friction became harder to discount. Early buzz hinted at quiet tensions, averted glances, cool silences, disagreement about direction, or differing takes on how certain scenes should be portrayed. Multiple accounts suggested that such differences grew more intense over time. I've been getting a lot of questions about, like, how do I feel, finally erupting into full-blown disputes that place the entire film in jeopardy. What looked like a routine promotional tour before the movie's release revealed tension not only between Zegler and Gadot, but also with other members of production. Rumors circulated that Rachel Zegler's concept of the movie, something she constantly described as a moral or educational experience, clashed with many Disney fans who anticipated a nostalgic revisit of a cherished story. But the reality is, she's just not stable. Audiences who simply wanted a whimsical retelling found themselves confronted with thought-provoking commentary that did not line up with their nostalgic expectations. Meanwhile, Gal Gadot's involvement spurred its own controversies, in part because her well-known global stances fueled strong reactions. When these perspectives surfaced in select discussions, the atmosphere turned uneasy and combative. I never want to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities one have. Laying the groundwork for a public relations nightmare. Behind closed doors, Disney executives had grown progressively alarmed by the divisions. They had counted on Snow White to be a straightforward, successful rollout, similar to the studio's better-received live-action adaptations. Instead, the production devolved into a lesson in how mismatched ideals and clashing personalities can overshadow a film. Each time Rachel Zegler criticized the original story as outdated and in need of modern moral lessons.
No, I've been getting a lot of questions about, like, how do I feel?
Longtime enthusiasts of the 1937 film felt more alienated. On social media, debates raged between supporters of Zegler's viewpoint, those applauding her eagerness to update older themes, and purists who insisted that certain traditions were best left undisturbed. In the midst of these clashes, Gal Gadot continued to champion certain worldwide causes, a stance that resonated with her established fan base, yet also alienated another segment of potential viewers.
But the reality is she's just not stable.
Added to that were widespread rumors that Zegler had deliberately avoided a high-profile ceremony meant to honor Gadot, a move some believe crystallized the animosity. This event had been meant as a platform where both actors might appear united, offering a chance to silence the speculation about their animosity. But Zegler was conspicuously absent as with Snow White. Let's go through this, right? There's no prince? Woman doesn't need a prince? Really? Okay, good luck. Back then, she explained later that she was uncomfortable with certain political themes being highlighted and felt she could not, in good conscience, endorse the event's message. The backlash was immediate, and many interpreted her decision as a direct affront to Godot. Others saw it as a matter of principle on Zegler's part. However one viewed it, the fallout had profound consequences. Disney executives had wanted the pair to present a united front, share a few heartfelt words, and appear visibly supportive, dismissing the notion of friction as mere hearsay.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have.
Yet by refusing to appear, Rachel Zegler only reinforced a perception of fundamental discord. Matters worsened when subsequent interviews revealed little enthusiasm from either actress about lauding the other or projecting any sense of warmth. Journalists who attended promotional photo shoots described frequent abrupt halts, times when filming stopped because the actresses simply could not proceed side by side without hostilities surfacing.
So, yeah.
My agent would have punched me in the face if I was up there saying some stupid what an investment.
On at least one occasion, eyewitnesses said Rachel Zegler stormed off following a glib remark from Godot, declining to resume the shoot until tempers cooled. All of this behind-the-scenes drama unavoidably shaped the film's public image after it was released. As whispered accounts of these altercations leaked, potential viewers questioned the viability of Snow White.
Great. Okay? Fucking great. I'm honored. I don't know why I sound so angry right now. I'm honored.
That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world. But the first thing we need to do is entertain. Could a production so hobbled by real-life feuds truly engage audiences? Seasoned observers caution that when negative buzz was as pervasive, it could doom a movie's ticket sales regardless of spectacular visuals or creative updates. Sure enough, early box office performance looked tepid. Even die-hard Disney loyalists.
So with Snow White, let's go through this, right? There's no prince. Woman doesn't need a prince.
Oh, Lord.
Really? Okay, good luck back then.
The ones who generally rushed to watch the company's live-action offerings seemed reluctant, worn down by the controversies engulfing the film. Costs began to mount swiftly. Reshoots became necessary to salvage scenes reportedly devoid of any authentic rapport between Zegler and Godot. Editors were left stitching together coherent sequences from bits of film that had been interrupted by quarrels.
Doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
The timeline ballooned, as did expenses, prompting Disney to curtail certain marketing efforts so funds could be reallocated to reworking the movie itself. Disagreements between the leads even spilled over into the editing process, with some insiders suggesting that entire emotional arcs had to be cobbled together from separate shots in which the actresses never shared the same frame. Canceled press events added to the trouble.
And I get it, there's a difference between spoiling and whatever, but to go out and badmouth everybody and talk smack about, older movies in the same franchise, the canon story, I guess?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I feel like they would have had better control over that.
The greatest blow may have been a lost chance to have Zegler and Godot feature together on key talk shows. Publicists had hoped that a few orchestrated joint appearances might dispel rumors of animosity. Yet, given the raw hostility, the idea of the two stars politely seated beside each other, grinning for camera and reminiscing about filming, seemed absurd. Schedules were swiftly adjusted for solo interviews, though even those were scaled down as nerves frayed. Their respective teams feared that any offhand comment might ignite fresh media uproar. Unsurprisingly, promotional momentum took a hit, as the public's interest tilted more toward the feud's twist than the project's artistic merits. That unrelenting negativity soon encroached on Rachel Zegler's broader career outlook.
That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
Multiple insiders reported that, once praised as a breakout talent with an alluring future, she was now viewed by some as a risky choice. Her apparent readiness to walk away from major events or clash with colleagues on ideological grounds raised concerns among producers. While Gal Gadot experienced her own share of criticism, primarily over her political views, her established track record and devoted following offered her a buffer. For Zegler, relatively new to Hollywood's highest echelons, the reputational hit came at a more fragile juncture. In an industry full of alternatives, repeated controversies frequently tilt casting directors towards safer bets at this point. The rumor mill churned out talk that Rachel Zegler might be facing financial difficulties, with fewer offers guaranteed and the possibility that Snow White might underperform.
Jonah Platt, whose father helped produce the latest Snow White film, had some very harsh words for star Rachel Zegler.
For context, Variety wrote a report recently titled Inside Disney's Snow White Fiasco, Death Threats, Beefed Up Security, and a Social Media Guru for Rachel Zegler.
She was rumored to be soliciting funds or trying to secure new deals from influential business contacts. The most dramatic whispers allege she was essentially begging for money from certain individuals, possibly Disney executives or private financiers, to maintain her upward trajectory. Some rumors extended so far as to suggest she was grappling with the potential fallout from having participated in a high-profile flop, which could curtail her future prospects and income. Whether these claims held any substance proved tricky to verify, but they spurred rampant speculation among both fans and critics. How? People asked, could a newcomer who once impressed audiences now be seeking monetary support? The debate triggered conversations around whether Hollywood's precarious environment was failing young artists or whether Zegler's own outspoken positions had contributed to her predicament. Online communities argued about whether she deserved sympathy or had simply alienated the big players in Disney's orbit by voicing provocative opinions and missing vital gatherings.
But at the same time, I think going forward, they're going to be like, hey, shut up.
Yeah.
Tight-lipped. Otherwise, guess what? We're clawing back some money.
Yeah. This would have been a lot better if they, had a strong male along with her, Prince, if it wasn't about socialism.
Meanwhile, Gal Gadot conveyed her own frustrations. Insiders revealed that she believed her commemorative event, organized to spotlight humanitarian work and political convictions, had degenerated into a fiasco, in part because of Zegler's conspicuous non-attendance. Rather than fostering a sense of solidarity, the occasion highlighted their differences. Gal Gadot supposedly complained that the unrelenting drama surrounding the project had derailed what should have been a vibrant, enchanting cinematic experience. Still, she maintained composed front in her public engagements, being careful not to reference Zegler by name unnecessarily. She insisted the film's creative aspects deserved the spotlight. Yet, reporters eager for a controversial scoop returned again and again to the rumored dispute. Leaving little space to concentrate on the film's artistry, as a barrage of negative headlines intensified, Disney revisited its strategy. The earliest marketing had promised an inclusive, progressive retelling of Snow White's tale, one meant to resonate with today's audience while safeguarding the fairy tale splendor. But as soon as conflict spilled into the open, fans scrutinized every snippet of new footage for traces of underlying hostility. The initial enthusiasm for a forward-looking Snow White, brought to life by a gifted Latina actress, dissolved into cynicism about the fractious dynamics shaping production. Shortly thereafter, harsh box office forecasts started to circulate. Market analysts indicated that the film, despite the Disney brand and lavish production budget, was not generating much excitement. Families who typically embrace Disney's updated fairy tale seemed put off by the swirling controversies and the sense of forced moralizing. Devotees of the 1937 original aired their displeasure, claiming this adaptation had deviated from what made Snow White so timeless. Casual viewers who might have shown up for a lavish fantasy spectacle were swayed by the steady drumbeat of behind-the-scenes drama. The film's prospects looked bleak to eye in the confusion that followed. More rumors about Rachel Zegler's appeals for funding emerged. Talk spread that her representatives had approached multiple streaming services and production houses, hoping to secure promising new roles or financial commitments. Concern over Snow White's uncertain box office fate apparently spurred her team into a more aggressive effort to keep her visible in the industry. Some observers cited this episode as emblematic of an actress's vulnerability in Hollywood. One day, you are on the rise. The next, your star can wane precipitously after a single misjudgment or unfortunate rumor. With Zegler's involvement in